Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and today we're going to be talking about the realm of the Chaos God Khorne. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day. If you have any suggestions, please comment down below. And if you enjoy our content, thank our patrons on Patreon. It is because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the realm of Khorne. The Dominion of Khorne in the Webway is a monument to fury and bloodshed. It is built upon a foundation of murder and conflict, and is home to every facade of battle and conquest imaginable. This blood-soaked realm echoes constantly with Khorne's bellows and the clashing of weapons, the cracking of whips, and the clarion calls of innumerable brass war horns. Though the demon-filled battlefields of Khorne's domain are many, and each is vast beyond reckoning, there is more to this blasted land than just blood-soaked plains populated with warring demons. Violence and despair are a constant traveling companion for any unfortunate soul cursed to briefly wander these lands. Each foreboding hellscape leads to another, more grim than the last, and at the heart of it all, upon a throne of brass, Khorne sits atop a mountainous dais made of the skulls of his champions and their defeated opponents. Khorne's gloomy chamber is lit by a great fire pit, where dark flames consume the souls of the cowards who fled from battle. From the center of his realm, the Blood God watches over all his minions from his seat on the throne of skulls. From there he commands his legions to bring war to distant corners of the galaxy. Every victory he witnesses leaves him thirsty for more blood. With every defeat, he takes the blood of the failed champion and adds it to his rivers of gore. Surrounding the throne on all sides are mounds of skulls and bones. Champions and fallen enemies alike contribute to the mass of bones. Could these skulls speak, some would tell tales before the long war against the corpse emperor of the Imperium, when the Primarch Angron had yet to swear his oath to the Blood God. Others would speak of grave mistakes that caused their entire race to fall to the axes of the legions of berserkers. The skulls closest to him, those of his favorite champions who have perished in service to their lord after hundreds of violent campaigns, would call out across eternity, screaming out their war cry, "Blood for the Blood God." This haze-filled throne room sits in the center keep of a brass citadel, the Castle of Khorne. Decorated with red-veined marble, the metal walls of this unholy citadel are broken up by jagged outcrops, encrusted with blood and armored with spurs of blood-stained brass. Hideous gargoyles leer from every parapet, ready to spew scalding streams of fiery metal upon a besieger. This inner keep is protected by great black walls that make out the outer perimeter of the brass fortress. Upon the walls stand guardian demons, with eyes as sharp as fangs and swords. They watch for any intruder, ready to defend their master to the last. Within the walls, there are thousands of flesh hounds patrolling the skull yards, sniffing out the blood scent of any who dare attempt to intrude. In the skies, flying between the outer walls and the inner keep, elite bloodthirsters listen to the sounds of invasion in the wind. It is rare that any force mustered has the strength to assault the brass fortress, its guardians deterring all but the most foolish or daring of Khorne's rivals from ever even trying. When the attempt is made, the might of the Blood God's personal host is brought to bear with a fury and rage that threatens to rip a hole between realms. While Khorne's brother Chaos Gods could gain so much if they defeat him in his fortress, the risk of counter-invasion is too great. It is said that if Khorne himself should rouse from his throne and personally go to war against the Dark Gods, his favorite blade would end them all in one mighty sweep. But such an act would have calamitous results that not even Tzeentch could predict. It is said that Khorne himself was once consumed by so much rage that he took up his sword and smutted the ground, splitting it asunder for eternity. This fell sword is known by many names, including the Warmaker and the End of All Things, and is capable of laying waste to entire worlds with a single blow. Because of this, an uneasy state of balance exists. When Khorne does obliterate the invading armies of his brother gods, they do not exact retribution directly. When the threat is ended, neither does Khorne press the advantage, but rather turn back towards his inner sanctum and reclaim his place atop the throne of skulls, thus his balance maintained in the eternal great game. Khorne's great brass fortress is protected by a massive moat, not filled with water, but with the boiling blood of those who have lost their lives to war. Beyond this moat lies league upon league of cracked land, littered with the splintered bones of those who have fallen in battle. Packs of flesh hounds prowl these ways for intruders, skirting along the edge of the sea of blood, roving through the maze of crackling bone and tracking down any interlopers. The flesh hounds can catch the faintest scent of Khorne's foes, even through the omnipresent stench of blood, and are merciless once on the chase. This blasted wasteland is split by a great crevasse, a canyon many miles long and bottomless. It is said that it is here where Khorne struck his mighty sword and cracked his realm. Occasionally, the Canyon of Death fills with a tide of blood, which spills out over the plains and sweeps away the heaps of headless corpses and mountains of shattered bone in a tsunami of crimson, as if the universe bled from some hideous wound. This forms thousands of rivers of blood that cut through Khorne's land and end up emptying in this massive canyon, plunging downward in a waterfall of gore. The lake that forms at the base of the canyon is larger than any ocean in the mortal realm and populated with creatures that just cannot be. Leviathans of brass and bone swim through the lake and devour all as they pass. Soaring above the lake, bloodthirsters fight with dragons of pure solid blood. Those that stray too close to the surface of the lake risk being snatched out of the air by the very lake itself, so hungry is it for its carnage. Rising waves on the surface take the shape of warriors and do battle, crashing violently into each other and falling back to the surface in a rain of scattered blood. Warp energy, the raw stuff of chaos, constantly swirls across the blood god's treacherous domain, where the power of the warp collects and stirs. Great craters are often gouged into the blasted plains. None can say if it takes moments or millennia for these pits to form, for time is meaningless in the realm of chaos. Eventually, the warp storm breaks apart, sometimes seeping into the very pits that they create. When this happens, Khorne commands his minions to intensify their effort to harvest blood from the mortal realm, using the most violent and destructive and devastating methods that they can possibly bring to bear. The souls that perish in such a campaign give their blood over to a special dark cause. Their crimson essence is collected in a pit, where it is mixed with molten brass and a measure of Khorne's own murderous bile. The resulting lake is a new blood pit. It is from the blood pits that the new demons of Khorne arise. Bloodletters, furnace demons, and many lesser fiends steadily emerge from the warp and the bile-infused blood, ready to do their master's bidding. The soldiers that vomit forth from these pits will be charged from the day of their creation until the day they fail their master in combat, with claiming more blood to refill their pits. Eventually, a pit does go dry, but without fail, soon after it does, a new storm begins to brew, restarting the cycle of bloodshed. A chain of immense volcanoes constantly smoldering girdles Khorne's domain. These form the Ring of Doom. Khorne's roar of rage causes the volcanoes to erupt and the ground to shudder. The volcanoes then explode with the wrath of the blood god, spilling out rivers of lava as hot as Khorne's anger. On the inward slopes of these jagged, fire-tipped peaks sprawl the foundries of Khorne. It is said that within these dire forges labor the souls of warriors who died in their sleep, forever doomed to serve Khorne as slaves. Great stacks billow forth clouds of smoke, which mix with the fumes of the volcanoes to choke out the blood-red skies with industry of war. These grim edifices keep Khorne's armories filled, his numberless warriors armed and armored by ceaseless toil. Here, too, the components of Khorne's demon engines are made. Assembly of these huge constructs of war is conducted elsewhere, but the cogs, blades, housing, and armaments all have their beginnings here, at the foot of Khorne's mountains. It is a dangerous place to reside, even for the standards of the rest of the realm. At any given moment, a volcano could erupt, flooding the forge with molten brass. It is of no concern to Khorne. If a few demons are incinerated in such a mishap, others will rise from the blood pits to take their place, and the forge continues. Despite the risk, the furnace demons are able to take advantage of the dangers of Khorne's rage. The masters of the hell forges enslave the souls of those mortals who dare invade the blood god's realm and fuse them with the anvils of Khorne. The tormented screams of those thus eternally imprisoned blend with the ringing and clanging of each falling hammer that strikes the forge. When white-hot metal is placed on the anvil and pounded into form, the bound soul feels the scorching heat. Thus, as each new weapon or piece of armor is crafted in the demon forges, it is born to the sound of Khorne's enemies suffering his everlasting wrath. Here, too, can be found the pens of the juggernauts. Behind buckled and cracked walls, thicker than any mortal fortification, the juggernauts of Khorne are corralled. Such a godly stockade is needed, for no lesser barrier could hold at bay the fury of these demonic monsters. The titanic juggernauts constantly fight amongst each other, butting heads and goring each other to establish dominance. Legends tell of the demons and mortal champions that Khorne has brought to this realm, and who have dared to try to tame the juggernauts. The smashed remains of nearly all of the warriors that have failed are smeared on the walls. Only a few of the bravest and strongest have ridden from the great brass gates atop the back of one of these murderous beasts. On the outward slopes of the volcanoes are immense parapets and bastions, carved from black granite. These tower miles into the sky, a daunting defense against any unwise enough to assail the kingdom of the Blood God. Great infernal canyons await the command of Khorne to unleash the fires of battle on the realm of the other gods. Mighty fortresses guard the brass battlements of the Ring of Doom, packed with Khorne's bloodthirsty legions. With a single growl from Khorne, these armies spill forth across the domains of the other gods to bring slaughter in battle. Under Khorne's urging, these endless tides of soldiers are whipped into a bloody frenzy, and will fall upon each other in their desire to spill blood if no other foe can be found. The domain of Khorne is unlike any other. Each piece of the realm is fighting for dominance. Each acts as a living servant of Khorne, wanting to prove to the master of the land that it is the most worthy for its reward. A visitor to this nightmarish realm would surely be driven mad, knowing that every rock, every breeze, and every drop of what would be water is an enemy looking to kill him with as much purpose as the demon inhabiting this land. And those were 40 facts on the realm of Khorne. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, share it with your friends. It inspires me to create some terrain. I might be doing that pretty soon. I started an Age of Sigmar Khorne army, so I want to do a Khorne specific table for when we play Age of Sigmar. So stay tuned. Those terrain tutorials are coming soon. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This was Gershwan with One Mind Syndicate signing out.